Pietro Galizzi, but I'm very sorry, but unfortunately for him, another Pietro won the prize for the shortest speech. Anyway, thanks to both of them. We lawyers are slightly longer, unfortunately. Having said this, I think we have now this last panel. We have mainly two subjects to debate, and perhaps some of the panelists may want to intervene about both of them. One is the role of private equity in shipping, of joint venture. I think we already made some consideration in respect of bankruptcy, pre-bankruptcy proceedings. We don't want to speak too much about this. So let's concentrate on the positive note on private equity that even in particular, I think, through hard times, can perhaps be a very resource. I think in the past, I will not make names, but I heard stories of very important owners who in the middle of the crisis, they found a partner, an investor. Now, obviously, the market, also the shipping market and the equity, the public and the private is much more sophisticated. But I think it's just a matter of both for I think, strengthening the difficult time, the shipping companies, but at the same time also to make the investments which are probably necessary for the innovation, for the... I think this is a very interesting subject. We have got here people who do this job, either academically or fully professionally, or both the ways. And I would like to hear them first, and then we listen to some owners, and why not some lawyers if they have any comments. So I would like perhaps I would like to ask Fabrizio to start on this subject of private equity in shipping.
Thank you, Francesco, being hosted in this...
Fabrizio Vettosi of Venice, everybody knows you.
Thank you. So, and to start, thank you to being so hosted in this nice venue. It's a very lovely venue. But afterward, I spent some words with Mr. Porzio, Avvocato Porzio, about another matter, and I would like to get some point of view about the new bankruptcy law, because as my point of view as end user, I tried it very flexible, so the shipping, as you know, needs flexibility, and the new bankruptcy rule through the 182 bis article or 67 article or 160 article or 186 article provided a huge flexibility at our purpose. Anyway, I would like to get their point of view of Avvocato Samela and Avvocato Porzio about the new rule regarding the third independent appraiser, and the change in rule about the feasibility of a plan, previous the failure of a plan, and as you know, the punishment for the third-party appraisal is become very bitter, because now is hit by a not only economic sanction from 100 up to 100,000 euros, but also by the arrest or the custody up to 5 years, if I am not wrong. So regarding the private equity, Francesco, so the discussion is almost confused. So it's my point of view just to put pepper in the discussion, and because I propose you to give a gift for the delegates for the floor because they wait a long time to support us in the discussion. So is a later, the 6, so 6:30. And so about private equity, the discussion is the most confused because we, when I stay at conferences, I hear the people talking about private equity like pure replacement of a traditional debt lending. So I think that private equity is not the Red Cross or the hospital where you stay, you go when you are died. So the private equity is for alive, not for dead. So private equity, so we have to distinguish corporate private equity from asset private equity. Basically, I agree with Jonathan Watson, a bit less with Jonathan Campbell, because I think that the joint venture in private equity is a framework help us to solve one of the main problems of private equity, the exit strategy. It's very difficult to align the interests between the ship owner and the private equity investor in terms of exit strategy. As the joint venture bring the carve-out of the asset, the company asset, may be used to solve this problem. So it's a very crucial problem. So, going through the other consideration about the private equity, another point of confusion is the price of private equity. So here, so frequently that the ship owner or other colleagues in the conference state that the private equity is very expensive. But private equity has not a price, because private equity is for pure risk taker. We cannot compare the bananas with the apples or with the oranges. It's totally different if we compare private equity to the debt loan. It's a different instruments, it's different financial instruments, but private equity is for risk take, pure risk equity taker. The loan is secured. The private equity is not secured. The loan is established a specific plan for repayment, private equity not. And private equity is subordinated compared with the secured loan. So, another point, very important point. So the private equity help to bring a different mentality in the company. This morning, Mauro Higuera, Federico, Mario Mattioli pointed out and they raised the discussion about the corporate governance, about the relevant onshore structure and organization. So I think the private equity may bring the change in the corporate mentality in the company, as helping, easing too much high standard professionals, skilled guys to join to the company. The private equity can help the company to attract professionals more than the families. So, can I state also? So, when I just to give my point. So, when I started to work in shipping, I remember that a friend of mine, ship owners, said to me, Fabrizio, I don't need your financial models, your statistic models. So when I take my decision, my final investment decision, I take it through my stomach, not through the PC or the financial model. So I believe that the game is changing. So currently, the ship owner is becoming not a pure asset player, not pure asset speculator, but the ship owner is becoming a fundamental ring in the logistic chain, is my point of view. So I think that private equity may help the change in the game. So just to recall, to remark some other points that I collected during the discussion. So another point, so the private equity, frequently I looked at private equity is combined with the debt. Discussion is an alternative. So, but private equity is backed by financial institution. I would like to state to you that the private equity fund are backed by the banks, by the insurances, by the P&I sometimes. So, but the crisis of the financial industry and the wide range as banks and insurance, it also private equity, not directly, but indirectly, because the main investor in private equity fund are the banks. And when the private equity invest, when the private equity funds invest, use the leverage and raising money from the banks. So that, therefore, the crisis of the banking industry, it's not only the ship owners, but not directly also the private equity is another crucial point. So just to state my final consideration about the use of the private equity, and coming back to the two speeches of Jonathan 1 and Jonathan 2. So, and Jonathan Watson, correctly, so on my side, on my view, pointed out that the use of a joint venture alternatively to the traditional corporate private equity. But this I mean, that is fundamental to bring in the company not the generalist private equity, but the specialized private equity. One of these, the main point is that private equity is not for generalist investors. Private equity is for specialized investors, and the management team track record is fundamental. Because the private equity is not a sexy tie, but it's a long-last tie. It's like a marriage.
Well, sometimes also a marriage can be sexy. There may be different opinion about this.